Hi class, we're going to finish up with communicating emotions, and we had just finished talking about facilitative versus debilitative emotions. And now we're going to look at what we want to think of as what are sources, what causes us to feel like that. Okay. So we say sources. We're looking at facilitative, obviously. Those are the emotions that help us further our growth as a person. So it doesn't have to be sadness, as I just described to you, can be facilitative. It's tears are healing, right? Crying is healing. Grief is normal. It's a normal process, whether you're grieving. Anytime we go through a major change, there's grief, whether it involves crying or just being quiet and sitting there with that heaviness, right? It's normal. Anger is a normal response to when someone violates you, when they violate your boundaries, or they've talked to you badly or treated you badly, right? Anger is a normal response. It's when you stay angry and you end up being either you're harmful to yourself, like I don't know, you go out and get drunk, or you get into a fight with someone because you're mad at someone else, right? That's when it becomes bad, or when you try to hurt yourself. So when we talk about sources of debilitative emotions, we also mean that our physiology contributes to those things that bring us down, that let's say, like in physiology, um, you could actually have, if you're someone that has a problem with anger, like a lot, like that's always your go-to, there could be something like physiologically going on with you that's out of balance, right? There's truth to that. Depression, we already know that about depression. Sometimes there's depression, like where you have a depression as a response to something, and then there's depression how you feel that way all the time, right? Students talk a lot about anxiety, right? As that is anxiety, another word for anxiety is fear. So what causes anxiety or fear? If you're always in a state of anxiety, that can also be, excuse me, I gotta breathe while I'm talking. That can also be emotional too, and be physiological. An emotional memory can make us feel debilitative. I'm going to give you an example for me. I often don't like looking at old pictures. If I spend too much time, if I look at old journals, and if I spend too much time looking at pictures, because I've had so many what I call iterations in my life, I've had a lot of life changes of the person to the person I am today. If I look at certain pictures, it can make me feel kind of down and I can start to get depressed, and I can start to feel regret, or feel like I should have done something different. I will focus on things like the things I did wrong, or the people I lost, or things like that. And it ends up being debilitative. So that's what I mean about emotional memory. Is certain emotional memories are debilitative for us. And we really have to when we become emotionally intelligent, we get better at, one, spotting that that's going to happen, and two, deciding, okay, I'm going to stay here for 5 minutes and then I'm done, right? Because we want to grow and be happy. Self-talk, huge source of debilitative emotions. Ask yourself, how do you talk to yourself? How do you talk to yourself? When you make a mistake, do you berate yourself? Do you say to yourself, God, you're such a stupid idiot. What is wrong with you? Or do you say, man, I really wish that would have turned out different? Okay, what do I need to learn from this? Or do you say, which would be a better response, oh my God, my life is over with. What am I going to do? You have a like hysterical response. Really, what is your self-talk? All of us have it. What's your self-talk when, let's say, when you're like, do something good? Do you like get all arrogant about it? Do you think like you're the best of the best and you rock and you're the top of the heap and all of that? Because oftentimes, arrogance can be debilitative too, right? Debilitative means it takes something away from you. So if you're overly confident, which is arrogant, that also people don't like that. People are not attracted to that. So that can be a debilitative as well. So self-talk means, how do you talk to yourself? How do you respond to yourself? Are you kind to yourself? Are you honest with yourself? Do you tell yourself the truth? And the truth is, what can be seen, not how you want to see it. And yeah, there's perception and that has something to do with it. But how you talk to yourself can be create more be more debilitative than it is facilitative. So are you talking to yourself in a way that's facilitative, helping you grow as a person? Okay, how do we do that? So this goes back to emotional intelligence, monitoring our reactions to stuff. So if you know you have a trigger, right? Let's say when you were 9, your parents got divorced and it was a bad divorce, okay? Your mom and dad, they fought. In fact, let's say your dad was not a good guy and he hit your mom more than once. And so you're a female and you're in a relationship with a man and you have your first fight. And the man that you're with is when he gets mad, he gets really angry. And he's pretty demonstrative about his anger. Like he physically looks bigger, he gets louder, he shouts. That's part of the way he expresses anger. Now, I'm not putting a judgment on this because so far, everyone expresses anger in a different way. That's not necessarily a bad thing. Let's go back to the woman though. When 9 years old, parents were divorced. Her dad didn't treat her mom well. She picks a boyfriend. I didn't say the boyfriend hit her, but in fact, the boyfriend doesn't hit her. He just is very highly expressive when he gets mad. And that's a trigger for her. Why? Because she saw it in her house. So she has to monitor and realize that just because that happened to her as a kid doesn't mean it's going to happen to her as an adult. That's how we monitor, right? Because she might have the emotional reaction like, let's get the heck out of here. I'm breaking up with this guy. He could be the best guy. He could be perfect for her, right? And she might get out of that relationship and get another relationship and have to go through the same thing. That's what I mean about triggers. Triggers belong to us. They don't belong to the person. The person's not responsible for our triggers. We are. So how do we monitor our debilitative reactions to stuff? How do we note the activating event? There you go. I just gave you a perfect example, right? You grew up at home, physical abuse happened, you're oversensitive. And I mean over, because your reactions can be over the top. Why? Because you have a sensitivity there. And so the key is knowing that you have that and being able to work on that and to recognize when there's danger and when there's not danger. That everything that's conflict or has anger doesn't mean there's danger, because anger is part of the human experience. Okay. And being able to look at what do you say to yourself, right? Let's go back to the young woman who's in a relationship with a man who's expressing his anger, and she's afraid that she's getting involved with her dad, that the next thing is for her to hit her. So she has to notice that, talk to her friends about it, Talk to him when he's not angry and say, you know what? I love you so much, but I'm so afraid that, this is what happened to me when I was a kid. You know what? If he's a good guy, he'll say, I don't mean to scare you. I just get so upset. I just need to, like, maybe we can work something out. Like, I'll go, when I get that mad, I'll just go and go do a run, or I'll go work out at the gym, right? So that's, work it out, communicate. People don't know how you take things. Oftentimes people don't know how you take things or what your triggers are until you tell them. So we have to be able to communicate that to our friends, to our romantic partners, to our parents, to our siblings, even to our teachers, to our employers, when it's appropriate, right? There's appropriate times to communicate, this is my trigger, I just got scared. Or can you just reaffirm for me that everything's cool between us because that scared me? Right? That's honest. It's okay. It's okay to be vulnerable. And reappraising, that's what I talked about, your irrational beliefs. So triggers belong to you, not to the event. They belong to you. You now are triggered by a certain event that looks like you see a certain event that reminds you of when something else from the past, your emotional memory, right? And you get triggered and you have to reappraise. Okay, I think we're about finished with this. We are. So we're finished. This is part 3 of communicating our emotions in interpersonal communication. And I hope that you learned something from this and realize that emotions aren't good or bad. They just are. And if you allow them, they will give you information. Whatever feeling you're having provides information about what's going on with you. Instead of being, if you're afraid of your emotions, any of them, they really are informing you of how, like, what's happened in the situation. It is really part of your humanity of all of those feelings. All right, that's it for now. Y'all have a good day. I'm trying to find my arrow right now, and I can never find it when I'm ready to get off of this thing. And we're going to sit here together until I find my arrow. Okay, there it is. All right, I'll see you later. Take care.